Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave with the Core Productions Deep Dive TV Podcast. My co-host Stacie here to talk about Paradise, Season 2, Episode 4, titled A Holy Charge. The episode description reads as follows. Xavier and Annie travel to Atlanta, contrasting life in this new world and the one he left behind in the bunker. The episode was written by Stephen Malarkey, who I believe wrote at least one episode of last season, and the episode was directed by Ken Owen. This is his second assignment. The last, of course, was in the previous episode. Before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is not a Sport Freak podcast. If you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go check it out, and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening to the platforms this podcast is now available on, please follow, and feel free to check out our YouTube channel, Core Productions, where additional content will be discovered. If you're already on our YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel. All right, shout-outs this week. We got some birthdays.
Yes, we have some birthdays this week. Yesterday, March 2nd, was Andy McQueen's birthday. He, of course, played Ibrahim on Revival. Happy birthday to him. On March 6th, a friend of the channel, Adrian Salerno. You might know him as Adrian Sal. He's from the Quantum Leap fandom, and he turns 46 this week.
Looking pretty good for 46.
Happy birthday to Adrian.
I thought he was much younger than that.
You know, people we meet in the Quantum Leap fandom, we got to know how old they are by now.
Right,
you know?
Yes.
We keep getting surprised, but we're all the same age. And then, of course, March 5th would have been Dean Stockwell's birthday, so we are remembering him this week as well. Of course, Dean played Al Calavici on Quantum Leap.
All right, so I actually have quite a few comments to shout out, all from basically this. No, I mean, not basically. It is from the same person.
Okay.
This is now going to be the Latrice of this podcast, or the other person whose name I can't quite recall from Sullivan's Crossing, but Skylar Anderson. Skylar Anderson from Sullivan's Crossing. Okay. I hope she keeps commenting because, you know, she has some insightful things to say. So.
And who is this person? You didn't actually shout them out.
This is Mantra 4IA, and if you can explain what that screen name means, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm very curious.
All right, let's see what they have to say.
So regarding Graceland, she says, I'm guessing agoraphobia and potentially unaliving for Annie's mom. Pure speculation on a freeze frame with the bottle tipped over and potentially empty. But then again, the last case of mental illness that was painted as a unaliving was Agent Billy Pace, so we all know how reliable the narrating circumstances are. Maybe she's suggesting that Annie's mom was killed and made to look like a unaliving. I don't see what the purpose of that would be exactly, but maybe there's a reason that had to happen for the timeline to work as it was supposed to.
Interesting.
Yes, interesting. I also ascribe to time travel as my personal sci-fi of choice, so when I first saw Annie's mom seeming to be a one-off circumstantial supporting character, I thought instead, if anyone was a person out of time, I would imagine it would be her. Went back with an assignment, shouldn't have gotten attached, did, and had a daughter, developed agoraphobia due to unresolved post-apocalyptic trauma, including the fact that she has condemned a daughter to facing the sins of her parents.
That's a deep dive kind of theory that the mom is out of time.
Absolutely. This is our person right here. I swear.
You know what that reminds me of? Dark.
Dark, okay.
Remember Dark?
Yes, of course I remember
he
Dark.
was out of time and then, you know, offed himself.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Because, like, time was catching up to him and...
Right, maybe. That means this show's going to go, like, real deep.
I don't know if we have time for it to do all that, honestly.
Yeah, they're saying basically season 3 is the last, so I don't know about that, but it would be pretty cool. Regarding episode 2, she says, I actually really like that the kids, that they look like they're maybe 12, if they were, you know, all from similar grades, can't talk but don't, or can talk but don't. Because if you go back to the event 3-ish years ago, when these kids got separated from the adults in their lives because they were on the bus to or from a school tournament. They must have been between 8 and 9 at the time. Kids are smart at that age. They can read and write simple stories. They're also not that far removed out of time when we learn how sounds build word. So it's interesting how they built their own subset of language. Also, I imagine the kids' characters are credited by what they wore / took to the tournament on the day of the event.
I still hope we see them again because...
Yeah, I'm not sure how they fit in at this point. But yeah, it's like... We'll get into that conversation later. But episode 3, you want a whole Kane episode? She says, I'm with you. Ask and you should probably receive. I'm thinking that's probably the case. I have to give the show credit. loved the lending library as the ground zero for note passing in the revolution, and I appreciate the amount of nerdy, subversive messages and hints they give us through the literary references and libraries, even if it's just for fun with no deep significance. Tarabi's wording behind the interrogation with the polygraph also throws me, particularly with the visual of the funhouse mirror. I know what she's talking about there. I thought this has to be like a red herring, but it is fun. And then we got to the end of the episode, and the play on words was actually Sam's play on words with breath mint. I was pretty satisfied. And she forgot about Patrick's character credit as the author in QAEAT.
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. Talk about a rewatch I have to do with a different Henry character. The bar scene deja vu was interesting. It felt like Henry was doing a toe dip into cause-effect ripples, and like somehow Billy passed a test he didn't even know he was taking. But my lizard brain immediately went, I don't know what this is, but more please. And she asked, do you guys think it would be too on the nose if Henry named his quantum project the show as a whole, giving lots of allusions to Schrodinger's cat, dead or alive, or both, after his wife Alex because of his weather outlook, 50-50 language? I'm starting to wonder if half of his sci-fi time theory is purely about time versus change probability of outcomes by fractions of a percent at critical junctions in time. 2, if all characters are being honest about their motives, avert disaster. Tip the scales to more or less than 50%. But then again, I was a mathlete that watched too much Esco Clown as a kid. I'm not really sure what that is. But so my nerd mind has bias that wants to go forward toward fate and probability. You have anything to say to that?
Yeah, I mean, that feels relevant. I can't work up like one theory that makes sense to fit all the different little clues that they seem to be giving us.
I had a wild theory. I'm not sure when to share it. I'm not even really sure exactly how much sense it makes, but it was a late night thought because I've been thinking about the show constantly.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'll share that later. But
okay.
Yes. P.S. I really like how season 1 in the Paradise Bunker, we went upward to episode 3. And we're done after this. I love the theory about tiny changes to the timeline causing the nosebleeds. This is actually her first comment. She commented on the audio snippet, which I guess led her to the broader podcast.
Well, welcome. And,
right.
And
yes.
It's great to have you here.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope you keep commenting. Also, I think there was a deleted scene or a nosebleed that happened off camera with Link and Geiger. They're talking about their plan about going into the bunker after Annie walks in and resets Link's hand. So perhaps the approach changes, because his handkerchief is out, which is the same one he uses later in the episode to stop the second nosebleed. Also, Xavier gets a second nosebleed when he tries to struggle off the couch when Annie says we're going to Colorado, and Xavier struggles only to realize he's in handcuffs. Maybe he broke out and didn't help her, or maybe nosebleeds only happen when a choice happens for the first variation. That's interesting. I didn't notice a nosebleed in that scene. Did you?
No.
I
didn't notice a nosebleed there. But it does feel significant that sometimes we're getting nosebleeds, sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're getting the camera effect, sometimes we're not.
Right. Also, does anybody remember if Sam's son ever had nosebleeds? Do you?
I sure don't, but that's an interesting thing to think about.
Right. And
remember I said I want to go back and watch all of season 1 again, just looking for nosebleeds. That seems like, I never thought I'd say a sentence like that, but here we are.
Yeah, in that specific case, we would have to look at episode 2, because that was the Sinatra episode, and that's where we met Sam and spent time with him. So that would be the episode to look at to see if he has had any nosebleeds, at least in that episode.
Sam is Sinatra, not the name of the son.
Yeah, Sam's son is what I meant to say.
I forget the name of her
Dylan,
son.
I think it was?
Yes, Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan.
All right, so that's all I got from her. Good stuff. Stacie, your thoughts overall on this week's episode?
Okay, so we've covered spoiler alerts, right? We covered that. If you haven't watched episode 4, turn us off now, because what the frick? We killed Annie!
I cannot believe we killed Shailene Woodley.
Like, already!
It makes me sad.
We just met her!
I thought we were going to spend the entire season with her.
We're setting her up to be a main character. She's on the freaking season poster. And we just kill her off.
Yeah.
Yeah, unexpected. Crazy. And now here's Xavier with a freaking newborn. Like, his challenge, his journey wasn't going to be hard enough. He's looking for his wife. Then he somehow has to make it all the way back across the country to Colorado. And now he's got a newborn that he's carting around.
Yeah.
That's some wild stuff. He's going to come home and be like, hey, by the way, here's a baby.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that there are plenty of times where I watched And This Is Us episode where I'm like, all right, this is okay, but I'm not really feeling it that much. And then, bam, they hit you. And bam, it was a trap all along. And suddenly, like, wow, you just get hit. And it recontextualizes the entire episode. That was the case here. Like, for a while, I was like, okay, this is okay. Nothing real special here. And I'm kind of annoyed with some of the flashback scenes. Like, I kind of want to know what's going on. The bunker, like, in the current day timeline. Yeah. After the wild events of the previous episode.
Well, I feel like it all has to come together more, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's so hard to... I feel like this is the kind of show that we have to talk about again after we know everything.
Right.
And then again, and then again, and then again, to really, like, make it all make sense.
Well, I was annoyed initially until we got to the end of the episode, and I kind of realized how it all tied in thematically, and...
It tells a through story, but it's also like, is that boy important? He's 3 years old now. Is he a part of this story, or is that the only time we're ever going to hear about him? Mm-hmm. Is he part of Sinatra's life now?
Right.
Like, is he someone she's going to kill people for? What are we doing?
Well, I think she's going to kill people for it. See, at this point in time, I'm not really totally sure who I should be rooting for.
Right.
Because
right.
I don't know actually what the stakes are. I don't know what Sinatra's trying to do. I don't know what Link is trying to prevent.
Right.
Like, at this point, I don't know who the actual villain of this story is. Which makes
Nature.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, it makes everything extremely interesting, and it kind of, I'm glad that they're kind of humanizing Sinatra this season, as opposed to, like, towards the back half of the season where she was just an out villain.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be rooting for Sinatra here, or if I'm supposed to be rooting for Link, because I don't actually know what the stakes are yet.
Yeah, they seem to be on completely opposite sides of something.
Right, yes.
But they both... seem to have good intentions from their own perspective, as far as we can tell.
Neither one of them is the villain of their story. In fact, Link specifically says, we are not the bad guys.
Right.
So he doesn't think he's the bad guy. Sinatra...
I mean, most people don't think they're the bad guy.
Right. Sinatra doesn't think she's the bad guy. She's willing to kill people and do some horrible things in the name of whatever it is she's trying to accomplish.
She really thinks she's saving the world.
Yes, yes.
So...
And perhaps maybe she's dooming it, but we don't actually know what she's doing.
We have no idea what anybody's doing.
Right.
But let's just listen to Henry and say we're going to hope it turned out the way it's supposed to.
Right.
Unless the way it's supposed to is to end humanity. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen.
I mean, I hope that's not the case. But, yeah, do we have anything else to say before diving in, or should we just get to it?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up is that Sterling K. Brown, he won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Drama Series.
Well, congratulations. He definitely deserves it.
That's pretty awesome. He was nominated. We knew that news a while ago, but the awards happened and he won!
Congratulations.
He deserves it. He's doing amazing work on this show.
Absolutely. He's done amazing work throughout his career.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
All right, so diving in?
Yeah, let's go for it.
The episode begins with Geiger, Link, and Co. at camp. Link is seeing the vision that Xavier saw of him.
The same vision, except from his perspective.
Right.
They're seeing each other in their thoughts, which is important, I'm sure.
Yep.
I noticed we had a zhuzh here, but no nosebleed.
Right, exactly. Because I don't think... I think if we tie it back into something I was saying in the last podcast, where I thought perhaps that the nosebleed indicated a time shift of some type, or something had changed. Nothing is changing here. He's just seeing the vision. Geiger wakes him up. Neither of them get the reference to Sleeping Beauty right. The chef has to correct them and calls them morons, and we're seeing all the same characters that...
we see a few of them, right? So we have Link, Geiger, Chef, and Big Poppy. We don't see... in this episode, Urkel or Gator.
Their train is going to be late, and Geiger asks him if he wants to wait. Link says, no, let's go find the bunker. Link signals to his troops that they are moving out.
And we notice we have quite a bigger group of people. He had mentioned they were meeting up with other people, but there's a lot of people here, and he seems to be taking the command, right?
Right.
He's the one calling the shots for the whole group of people.
That's pretty crazy.
Which is interesting
of
how that works out.
I'm sure Geiger is his second in command, whatever. And then we have our credits. Xavier wakes up. He's still handcuffed. Annie comes in and tells him that he needs to start moving around, and she unhooks him. Okay, so the name Annie is the same as the character in Misery.
Yeah.
That can't possibly be an accident. We're kind of setting up that similar imagery, except she's not going to hobble him or make it so they can never walk again. It's actually the reverse. She's going to nurse him back to health. Xavier looks outside and sees a horse. He asks, "Where am I?" She's like, "It's not obvious." He looks around. He's like, "Really? Like, I'm in Graceland?" Like, and it's funny that he never talks about that. He never talks about the fact that his wife and him named their kid after.
I hadn't put two and two together yet, but I was waiting for this scene.
Yes.
I was waiting for when it became significant that Terry is a huge Elvis fan. She named her daughter Presley. She insisted on it. That's what they name her. I was waiting to find out that, like, she met Annie when she was here on a tour, or even the other thing was I was expecting and hoping for a conversation between Xavier and Annie where he was like, "We thought about naming our daughter Annie." Hint, hint, this is us.
Yeah.
But we went with Presley instead. Like, how ironic.
Right.
Why didn't we get that?
I don't know. You missed a trick here, Dan Fogelman, but there's still time.
I mean, I guess we could still have flashbacks to conversations between them before she died.
Yeah, I'm going to... I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see Shailene Woodley again this season, even if it's a one-off and we see her like in the finale or something along the lines. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see her again.
Well, with the way this show does it, like, we can see anybody again at any time.
Right.
Because, flashbacks and nonlinear storytelling and... nobody's ever dead in Dan Fogelman stories.
Right. Xavier asks, "How far along is she?" And Annie says, "It's rude to assume a girl is pregnant. Haven't you ever seen a sitcom?" Yeah, I will not do that. I will not ever ask a girl when she is due.
Okay, but the joke here is she is, like, ready to pop pregnant. Right, there is no ambiguity here.
If you're wrong, by the way, you're not going to make a new friend. But anyway... So we got cut back to the past. Cal Bradford strolls into Sinatra's office with Xavier and Billy Pace in tow. This is the second time we're seeing Billy Pace this season, after not having seen Billy since episode 5 of last season. He announces that the first pregnant lady is...
That's not true. We had plenty of Billy in The Day, and...
That was... Wait, what? We didn't see Billy in... No.
If not The Day, the next episode.
Okay.
We saw him in one of those flashy back episodes.
No, I'm pretty sure that the what you're talking about is the flashback scenes that we saw in episode 5.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll go back.
Because there was a lot of flashbacks after that.
Right, yeah, but I think he was only, like, credited in, like, the... Like,
I don't know.
Episode
It
5
doesn't matter.
Right, it does not matter.
But we've got more John Beavers on our screen, which is nice.
Yeah, and good to see Billy, this version of Billy again. Yeah, so he announces that the first pregnant lady is about to give birth down here. Sinatra is irritable. He's like, "I don't see this as a reason to burst into my office." He wants to name the baby Hope. Neither Billy or Xavier seem on board with that. Cal realizes that this might be tough on Sinatra because of her dead son. And he says before leaving that this was a good opportunity to bring the community together and celebrating something positive.
Yes, and at this point in time, they have been down here for 5 months, he says.
All right, so the title screen says, and this is kind of important, I never really cared about the timeline before, but now I do, that this was 3 years prior, correct? Right. So, at the point that Xavier and Annie are in their scenes together in this episode, at the start, that's 3 years ago, right? Correct?
Well, when you say something in years, though, it doesn't necessarily mean exactly 3 years. It means we're somewhere in the third year.
Gotcha. All right. But it's safe to assume that altogether, the time that they've been in the bunker has been about 3.5 years.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Because we've been saying 3 years the whole time, I think.
Gotcha.
And now more time has passed.
So, how much of a time frame from the time that we saw Cal dead to the time that Xavier left the bunker?
That he left. So how long was season 1?
Yes, basically.
A couple of weeks, I think. I don't think it was much longer than that.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
That's interesting. Okay.
But now we know he spent weeks with Annie healing before they continued their journey.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have a note here, like, what is the timeline? Because it's getting confusing.
That is my
Because we're
question.
following different characters, and it's clear we're not watching them all on the same day.
Right. I mean, I guess I should save this for the end, but like...
Yeah, we can circle back.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I just want to establish that. So we're saying that in total, from this point, it's been about 3.5 years.
It's been more than 3 years and less than 4.
Okay.
We're somewhere in that after 3-year mark.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so Annie tends to Xavier's wounds and quotes back to him that he needs to get to Atlanta, but she's basically mocking him. But he needs 2 more weeks of healing. Xavier confirms for her the existence of the bunker. Annie realizes that Link is right, but she won't say his name outright. She's just like, it doesn't matter. She points out that the little things out here will get him killed. She insists he's taking her to Colorado, and Xavier says that he's going to Atlanta. She does not really respond to this, but says he's got 2 weeks to get stronger, and then formally introduces herself. Why this 2-week timeline?
Well, because in 2 weeks he'll be able to travel, and she's anxious to get going as soon as they can.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because remember, she was like pretty far into med school. Like, she was seeing patients already.
Gotcha.
So she's basically a doctor, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Xavier observes Annie with her horse and consults a map. We have a montage, and we see Annie look at her ankles, which does not seem that significant at the time.
She's having some issues with her pregnancy. She's checking her blood pressure. She's doing doctor-y things. She's her own obstetrician.
Right. Xavier continues to heal, and Xavier reads the book titled The Last Man. Well, that seems, significant. She says now that he's stronger, she could use some help around here. And he's like, sure thing, what would you like? And she says, you can make me some tea. I mean, he couldn't do that before? Anyway. So they sit out in the patio, observing the sunset. This is the patio with the telescope.
Like the balcony roof area.
He says, he's strong enough to travel now. And she says, I know. And he says, I appreciate you saving my life. And he definitely owes her. But he can't take her to Colorado without first getting his wife. That's a deal breaker. She talks about Link, about how she didn't go with him because she was scared, and that's nothing unusual. Xavier says that it's normal to be scared, and she's like, nah, this is not normal. The way she's indicating that this is a level of fear beyond what the normal person experiences.
Right.
He said he equates this to parenthood, that you're basically, as a parent, you're scared all the time, but it's the highs that make it worth it. And he brings up, soccer, that when you see your child score a goal, that's just pure joy. And Annie laughs, saying there is no soccer anymore. And Xavier says that, there will be. And she's like, oh, with animal heads? And he's like, yeah, maybe, but either way, you will celebrate the joy of them scoring, regardless.
Also, during this scene, he marvels at seeing the real sunset.
Yes.
He says it's the first time he's seen a real sunset in years. And that's some interesting book ending to where we see Sinatra at the end of this episode, looking at the fake sky.
Right. She says she didn't trust people before the world ended, and says that they will go to Atlanta to find his wife and then take her to Colorado. By the way, this scene hits very different after you know how this episode goes.
Yeah.
At this point, she basically knows that she is not going to be long for this world.
I mean, there's a chance she could have survived.
Yeah,
she doesn't know for sure.
But she knows that
She knows something's wrong.
Yeah, that her pregnancy is it's potentially life-threatening to them both. So she knows there's a chance that she's going to leave with Xavier, and she is not going to survive.
Yeah, I mean, she also knows the timeline. Yeah. She does say it's too early.
Right.
But she has to know that we're not going to be able to get all this done before childbirth gets here.
Right. I mean, so it's she's not just trusting Xavier here. This is a person who doesn't trust people.
Right.
She's not just trusting him to take her somewhere. She has to know that she could potentially die, that he might have to save this baby, and that he's going to be in charge of this baby from then on.
Right.
So that's a pretty big level of trust to put in someone.
But also, she doesn't really have a choice.
I mean, that's true.
Because, we evaluate this, and, we could save this for later, but if he's not here, if she never met him, if she's alone in Graceland and she gives birth,
for instance,
and she dies, that baby's dying.
Yes.
There's nobody here to take care of the baby. Nobody knows the baby exists.
And I think that goes back to my theory about, the nosebleed in that situation where perhaps he did not crash originally. He had to crash Otherwise, Annie and this baby both die.
Right.
In Graceland. So moving along. They pack up to leave. They leave the gates. She hesitates. This is the only home that she's known for the longest time.
Yeah. Although I did remember in this moment that she had the courage to leave to go find him because she thought it was Link. Just, recently she left on horseback to go.
She wasn't going to leave for good, though. She's pretty convinced that she's not coming back here.
Right.
He asks if she's good, and then they go. Cal and his agents go to the hospital to make dad jokes to the woman about to give birth. Xavier gives Billy a look. Cal is musing about how this will be the first baby born down here, that it'll be the first baby whose stories will be about the bunker and not the real wide world. He sees this as a positive thing, but I kind of find that very depressing.
It is depressing. It's like, congratulations, your baby's never going to see real life.
Right.
The mother-to-be here is Luisa Moreno. She is played by Jessica Marie Garcia. She was in 35 episodes of a show called On My Block and 5 episodes of How to Get Away with Murder. And also in this scene, we meet her doctor, Dr. Patel. He's played by Abdul Alvi. He's in 3 episodes of Thank You Next and does voices for various Call of Duty games.
Cool. And yeah, by the way, I left the whole casting thing to you in this episode.
It was a little challenging this time because IMDb was they were not up to speed when we needed them to be. I had to dig into the episode credits themselves and then cross-reference and search people out myself and figure out who they were because most of them are guest stars, so it doesn't even tell us their character names.
Right.
It felt like I was working with screeners, even though we don't have screeners for this. It felt very off balance for something that's already been released.
And she says to him that she is not naming the baby Hope, so she already got wind of that. At a church, Annie says she's craving waffles. Xavier picks up the ID on the ground, of course the one of Link that she has, and starts to remember the flashes he's had.
Yeah, he recognizes Link as the person he's seeing in his visions.
He starts to talk about it, and this is the first time that we've said it out loud, that he's seeing things that have not happened
yet.
Yet.
He confirmed they feel like memories, but they haven't happened. And I have a few different thoughts on that. We got a good look at Link's ID again here in this episode, and I just want to point out it does not have a name on it. We still do not know Link's real name. It was from the California Institute of Technology, which fits since we know that Link and Henry were working in Pasadena. No name on it, just an ID number, and this probably doesn't mean anything, but to document it, the ID number is A9283749-01.
Okay, good to know. So, by the way, she's completely dismissing what he's saying as probably a concussion of some kind.
Yeah, because he doesn't get to the part where this is the person I'm seeing in my visions. That's the important part.
She kind of shuts him down before he says it.
He noted this, right?
Yeah.
And he knows something is up with this. But the only thing he actually verbalized is, hey, I've been, having visions. And she's doctoring. She's like, oh, that's normal. You had a concussion. You'll, whatever. But he should have been like, no, I've seen this person in my vision, but I know I've never met him before. That feels significant.
I think he doesn't feel strong enough in his conviction that he's actually seeing a vision. So he doesn't know what this is, so he's not on sure enough footing to argue like that, I don't think. But, yeah, she insists he sleep with a blanket despite the fact that he's saying he's good, he's trying to be all manly-like. And she says, no argument, so she gives him back the blanket. She wakes up to find herself with the blanket that she gave to Xavier, and Xavier sleeping in nothing.
Yeah, he covered her with both blankets.
Xavier is suggesting that she name the baby Daniel after the kid he met in episode 2.
Which, we're bringing up the kids.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
They have to factor in somehow. They start seeing some people coming, and Annie wants to take another route, but Xavier insists on trust, while Annie is telling him not to make eye contact. He's completely ignoring her, and he's like, oh, hey, and they're just, staring at him. It's funny to me. He's talking about, trusting people, and I'm more with Annie on this. I think my worldview is more like I don't trust people. They're pieces of shit. They're at this point, they're gonna they're potentially gonna hurt you,
and
try to rob you or steal from you or whatever. So people avoid. would be my philosophy.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of this whole episode, right?
Yes.
Is are people inherently good, and should you trust people?
And this episode takes the entirely different point of view than my own worldview, in that people are in fact trustworthy. But yeah, and so far people that we've encountered have been trustworthy.
Well, not all the people. Like we had the torch people in episode 2.
But we don't actually know what their intentions.
That's true. Like kind of, Xavier was the bad guy there. He just like straight up murdered him really very quickly.
Right. So it's really funny to me though that this is his point of view, because he is a Secret Service agent. This is the person who last season was talking about a woman who was ambidextrous and talking about her as a threat.
Right.
So this is an interesting point of view.
But also, I think that helps him
assess the threat properly.
I think it helps him not be scared of everybody, right?
Gotcha.
Because while he's always looking for threats, he's better equipped to deal with it if a threat does emerge. So I feel like that gives him more room to be like, I'll trust people until they give me a reason not to. Whereas Annie's so scared of everything that, if she starts trusting them and then she shouldn't, it's already too late. Yeah. She doesn't have the same skill set as he does.
Yeah, I think I'm more in Annie's shoes than I would be in Xavier's for sure.
Yeah.
So in the past, Cal asked what he did after his baby was born. And then something is going wrong, and they have to do an emergency C-section. She asked Cal to stay with her, and we learned that her baby daddy was on the plane that crashed. He was a staffer. He was a staffer,
for the Congress plane. So he died before we made it to the bunker.
Cal wants to go in. Xavier argues against it, but Cal tells him to scrub in. Now, initially, I'm kind of like on Xavier's side. Like, I'm like, what are you going to do in there? Like, you're just going to be in the way. But she did specifically ask him to stay.
Because earlier, he had been like, I'm here for you if you need anything. I think the point of this is he's not just looking for publicity. He's not just being a politician. He actually cares about being there for this woman.
And for the record, I mentioned at some point in the podcast somewhere about Paradise that I was concerned about how they were going to use James Marsden as Cal Bradford. That they would try to overuse him, kind of like Jack Pearson. And so far, I kind of feel like they've done a good job, like not making his appearances like not have a purpose. If that makes any sense.
Quick aside, you just reminded me. I saw a preview. I shared it to our Facebook group that he's going to be in a movie with Vince Vaughn that's coming the end of this month to Hulu. I'm not remembering the name of it. It's a time travel comedy action movie.
So it sounds like you want to cover that.
I want to watch it. I don't know if I want to cover it. But, James Marsden and Vince Vaughn time traveling.
I'm sold. Okay. Xavier and Annie stop at a Waffle House, and unfortunately this is going to be her final resting place. He asks her if he's still mad about him saying hi to those people, and Annie says she was never mad. She just has difficulty trusting in people.
What do we think about the fact that she said she was craving waffles and then they find a Waffle House?
I'm not sure.
Is that funny irony? Is it a synchronicity?
Is it like a premonition?
Is it some kind of premonition? Right. Is it the baby? Is the baby full of Alex power?
Maybe. Maybe, yeah. It could be actually significant that she actually ended up in this place. And
this is where the baby's being born.
Right.
And where she's dying.
Right.
It's a significant spot.
Yeah.
For in the morning, she's like, I'm thinking about waffles.
Xavier gets I think that you might be onto something there. Xavier gets a sack of flour to practice swaddling. And at this point, before he started, swaddling the sack of sugar or flour or whatever.
Probably flour.
I was thinking like, oh, you're going to make waffles? So do you trust this flour at this point? But no, that's not what he was doing. He says that if anyone tells you that they aren't scared, after their baby is born, they are lying. And I can tell you, from experience that that's absolutely the case. Your baby is born, you leave the hospital, you're terrified. Xavier talks about his dad, and how your kid is born, one of those moments that you experience life in full volume. Everything goes high def, and then she talks about a storm, a tornado that she witnessed, that her baby will be born into pain, death, and all the storms to come. Xavier says, but the joy will come too. You just might be surrounded by the storms. He says you can guard against the worst and still believe in the best in people. That we are capable of great change, great love, and promise. It's a holy charge. And he says she kind of likes that. And, Xavier says, oh yeah, you think that's good? And she's like, it's okay. Because, that's Annie for you, But Xavier wakes to Annie saying that they should get going. But when she's outside, her water breaks. She tells Xavier that it's too soon, that this is preeclampsia. I have no idea what that means, but I do know from House MD, having watched that series, that that's not a good thing.
Yeah, so she knew she had preeclampsia. This links into the swollen ankles and the blood pressure and all of these signs that she had been tracking in the earlier montage.
So this is a life-threatening situation for both her and the baby. Right. She said that if she told Xavier that, he might not take them with her, or, the other way around. But, yeah. So this is not a good situation. Brief cut to the past. We see, Louisa in the operating room preparing to get the C-section. Xavier in the present basically asked, all right, what do we need to, deliver this baby, Doc? And he's told a bunch of things he needs, which includes an eyedropper, some fresh towels. He goes into the back room and finds none of these things. And we see them in the past prepping the lady as Cal is by her side. Xavier in the present starts freaking. He insists he needs to go and get help. She starts freaking out, doesn't want him to leave, and at this point I'm like, no, don't leave her there. Please don't do that. But Xavier insists he needs to go and find people, that they're not going to be scared of people, that they can help. And at this point I'm like, please do not leave her. I didn't think that was going to lead to anything good, but once again, the episode rewards Xavier's point of view, not my own.
Right.
He ends up giving her the gun and leaves despite her begging him not to. And then we see Xavier going on a run, running over the hill.
Yeah, running towards the people that they had encountered earlier in the day.
Right.
Who, by all accounts, didn't seem that friendly.
No. But, to be fair, they don't exactly know who these people are.
Sure.
And if they are themselves trustworthy, they don't look like, like a threatening pair, but you never know. Annie tries to calm herself down. She grabs some crayons and a placemat. The ones you can, do mazes on and all that jazz. Xavier goes to the farmhouse, breaks into the house, and I'm going to point out, at several points here, he could have very easily been shot.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be hard-pressed to argue that they were not morally justified in doing so.
Right.
They do not know if Xavier is actually a threat or not. And he kind of acts like he is a threat.
Yeah. So, yeah, the whole time he's running up the house, the fence line has 6 different no trespassing signs on it. He gets to the house, he knocks, he calls out, nobody comes. So, he goes in because he's like, even if I can't find people, I need to find some supplies.
Right.
And I'm in a super rush, and I get it. But maybe he should have tried a little harder to get someone's attention before barging in.
Right. At this point, he's desperate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a kid comes in on him with a gun.
This is, by process of elimination, I'm pretty sure this is Albert. He's played by Keegan Perez. His only other credit was for something called Horizon, an American Saga Chapter 1.
Xavier used his Secret Service powers to strip him of his weapon, and he has him on the ground, and then another person comes in holding a gun on him. Again, he could very easily have just been shot here if that guy had an itchy trigger finger. It wasn't just trying to get him off his son.
Right. This is Gordon. He's played by Scott Pete, who was in 7 episodes of Days of Our Lives, an episode of X-Files, and a film called Out of Time.
Ooh. So Xavier ends up explaining the situation to him, and then we see Cal continue to comfort Louisa and talks about how when Jeremy was born, he was rear-ended. He says that babies are built to survive. They are resilient. They are found in the rubble after earthquakes alive. I'm very curious if that's actually true. And the first time her little boy smiles, it's not just going to change her, but her entire world.
Yeah, so this is a beautiful moment because it's Cal reassuring this woman who, is in a very tricky medical situation, giving birth by emergency C-section. Xavier's listening to it.
Yes.
And he'll later use this whole experience to deal with Annie.
And I will remind you that Xavier is not on good terms with Cal, really.
Right.
At this point, at this juncture. And he's not going to be for the rest of Cal's life.
Right.
These scenes with Cal and Xavier are always interesting because he's nothing but professional, but at the same time there's an undercurrent of deep resentment from Xavier.
Right.
Annie cries on the floor. A man comes in with a gun. She's begging.
This is Gordon.
Yes, begging him not to shoot her. Or
because she's assuming the worst, that he's come to just rob her, and she's like, I got nothing. I'm about to die, dude.
I think maybe Xavier should have been the first one through.
Right. But he's 3 people behind.
Right. A bunch of people come through, and they are here to help. They help Annie and prepare the C-section in the past, and Gordon and Xavier set things up and kind of give each other a subtle nod. Basically, they respect each other. Sinatra is now observing the birth in the past, which is interesting. She has now joined this whole medical situation, as Cal continues to comfort Louisa. In both timelines, the baby is born and fine. Annie's baby is a girl, and in the Louisa's baby is a boy. Sinatra looks relieved in the past. Cal tells Louisa that the doctors are leaving because there's nothing left to do here. The babies are built to survive.
And the other characters we meet in Annie's scene is we have the midwife. She's played by Robin K. Johnson, who is in films such as One Fast Move and The Great Lillian Hall. And then we have Gordon's wife, Marie, who's played by Celeste Oliva. She was in Summer of '69, the 2024 Salem's Lot, and Don't Look Up.
So, during this whole multi-pregnancy scene,
birthing scenes,
before I had watched this episode, I had gotten hints from you that something sad was going to happen.
I hadn't watched it either, but we were watching it late in the day,
right?
And there was, a lot of fluff out there that I'm trying to avoid, but of course I'm seeing it. And I knew people were giving a lot of sad faces and crying, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to go well.
so I'm assuming at this point that something is going to happen to the babies. In neither case does anything happen to the babies.
Right.
But things start to go wrong for Annie. And I'm like, oh, no, you cannot be serious. You're not going to kill off Annie here. You can't do that to me.
Right.
I'm in love with Shailene Woodley. You can't take her away from me now. But anyway, the placenta will come out. The bleeding won't stop. Annie tells Xavier there's nothing they can do. She assures Xavier that she knew this was going to happen. She gives him a note to give her when she's older, and she says he needs to find Link. It has to be him. Find the father, and she makes a promise that she will not let her be afraid of people. She says that this is his holy charge.
Right. Congratulations, you're now responsible for a human being.
Right. Xavier.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick it here before I forget.
Yeah.
Because if it's time travel, because we were doing a lot of this, right? Who could the babies be, right? Are they other people? Because, time travel and whatever.
If you're going to tell me Jane, I'm getting off the train right now.
Yes.
You think, come on.
I think it's Jane because of this moment. The whole promise is don't let her be afraid of people. And you know who's least afraid of people? Sweet little Jane.
Well, I think
Jane definitely grew up not afraid of people.
Yeah, that's true. She also turned into a murderous psychopath.
But she's my best guess right now. If we think about time travel and the baby gets sent back in time and is somebody we already know, which is a really big if. But if that's the case, we were going, well, who could the baby be? We got Sinatra. There's only a few choices, right? I think if she's somebody we know, it's Jane.
So Xavier holds her and says, "It'll be okay, Doc," with tears in his eyes, and she dies in his arms. Xavier hears the baby cry as he continues to comfort Annie, even though she's already passed away, and quietly says one more time, "It's okay, Doc." This scene, I don't care how many times I'm going to watch this scene in the future. I think this scene is going to get me every single time. It's just totally heartbreaking, beautifully performed.
It's beautifully
really well
performed.
done.
It's also edited and put together so great because the room's loud. There's a lot of commotion going on. When she dies, they cut all sound.
Yes.
It goes to 0 sound, and then we just hear the baby crying.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole flow of this scene is just so powerful.
Absolutely. So they bury her and Gordon talks about giving her dignity and grace, and he's asking he knows any other details about her that they can include. Unfortunately, Xavier does not know these details.
He doesn't know her last name. I don't think he knows Link's name. Did Annie even know Link's name?
I doubt it.
Like, what are we... Nobody knows anything about this woman, and we're burying her, and that's so sad.
His wife, grandma, whatever.
Marie. I figured out in second viewing.
Because when I asked you originally, you had no idea.
Yeah, it took when I was actually,
right.
like really, like, focusing in on, like, subtitles and stuff. Her name's Marie.
Okay, so Marie brings Xavier the baby, and Xavier comforts the baby. Xavier looks at the idea of Link. He prepares to leave, but the horse is not ready to go. It will not leave Annie's grave.
It's so sad. The horse is like, I'm not moving. I'm staying right here with her. That was powerful to me.
Xavier sits with the grandma, who was a chemistry teacher. She gave it up after the world ended because the world lacked people willing to get their hands dirty. She offers to keep the baby. Xavier says this is one promise he needs to keep. He quotes Cal that babies are resilient, that they are found in earthquakes, and all that jazz. Xavier talks about the storm Annie saw. That she was afraid of what storms will come. That's something he can't stop thinking about.
And I like this too. It showed him standing on the balcony seeing the storm.
Yes.
Even though he didn't.
Right.
She's the one who did.
Mm-hmm.
Is this foreshadowing? Is there going to be some bad storm he has to face? Like some literal storm he has to face?
Maybe. The grandma brings up being descended from... Marie brings this up. From 1,000 people. That's how everyone is descended from 1,000.
Right, because 72,000 years ago, a volcano drove down the whole world's population to 1,000 people, and they are the descendants of what is left. Everybody is.
She talks about leaving the kids our sins. Like, basically, we eventually lead the sins that becomes our kids' burdens. She brings up how close in time we all are. She brings up the word time.
Yeah, the word time was brought up like 6 times in this episode.
Yes. She suggests trying out the new baby carrier that they had been sewing. And as he tries it out, Annie's horse decides it's ready to go. Basically, it's over its grieving.
It sniffed the baby.
Yes.
And I think it was like, oh, I can smell Annie. I know this baby's part of Annie, so I'm going to go with you and this baby.
Xavier nods goodbye to the people and takes off on his journey. Xavier
goes on his journey.
Oh, no. Okay.
What else you got?
Wrong.
Wrong.
Okay. Not Xavier.
Sinatra
visits Louisa and offers to look after the baby.
She gives her Legos.
Right.
Like, why are you giving this newborn Legos? Okay.
I mean, she does mention the fact that eventually the baby will grow into it.
I know, but like that's hardly here's a present for a newborn.
Sure, but
give her something she can actually use in the next 4 years.
Are there newborn stores around, like, at this point? Like, did they think about that? Like,
I mean,
how many options
she
are
could have
there
given her something other than Legos.
Fair enough.
Unless that Lego is going to become something important later, it seems awful silly.
Right. She ends up offering to let Louisa lay down while she looks after the baby. And while she does this, she tells the baby that he and everyone else will eventually see the real stars and the real sun. I'm going to point out, I don't know what Sinatra's plan is here, but the only way that happens is if you stop the Venus syndrome that Dr. Lounge was talking about.
It's not just about, is the world inhabitable again?
So this machine...
by the way, this is not 6 months yet. They made a point of saying 5 months. So we haven't killed the scientists yet. This is before that. Because that happened at 6 months.
Okay, which scientists died? Oh, the scientist.
Billy killed the 4 scientists.
Right. Okay.
So so people don't know that people are still alive.
Right. Gotcha.
This is before any of that. They haven't been outside yet at this point.
Either way, she does know that the Earth is supposed to heat up and eventually everything is supposed to be crushed. The only way you can go on the surface is to prevent that. So you either have to go back into the past and prevent 20 years of history leading up to that.
Right.
Or the machine itself is supposed to prevent the Venus thing from happening.
Right.
Which rules out time travel. But so I'm not really sure what she's doing or what she's talking about.
But she makes it clear that she's telling him a secret that nobody else down here knows. And she says to him, I have a plan.
Right.
So she very specifically knows, she knows what she's trying to do.
Right.
Also, we learned the baby's name is Calvin.
Oh.
Louisa named him after Cal.
Oh, that's so adorable. So, Xavier reads Annie's letter, which I'm going to point out is pretty elegant for something that she scratched out with a crayon on a little mat while she was panicking and in serious distress.
Yes.
Okay. She says there's good people in this world and always will be. She trusts that she has become one of them. If she's become Jane, that's totally not the case. But...
I mean...
And she says that love travels through time.
She says, I trust that love travels across death, across time.
Right.
These seem very specific words to be using.
Right. We see Link and Co.
And that it bridges impossible distances and binds people who've never known each other.
Wow.
Now, this seems very heavy for this to be the message she's giving to her daughter on her deathbed.
Right.
It seems very important, these words.
Is she talking to us right now about this series?
It all feels like hints to what the heck Alex is.
Right. We see Link and Co. arriving to the bunker with cue cards for the camera. Knock, knock. We see Xavier arrive to where Terry had been broadcasting.
Which is a post office in Atlanta.
Link holds up another card, which says, apologies for love actuallying. If you don't know that, I'm sure you know that reference, right?
Yes.
You have to know that reference, where the stalker shows up to the girl that he really likes with cue cards, and this woman is married, and, you know, this seems really cute, but, you know, this day and age, people look at this and go, eh? But anyway, we're not sure if you have sound in there, if you can hear us out here, so that's why the cue cards. Please, as they say, take me to your leader. I'm gonna ask nicely, but not for long. A man comes out asking if he's Xavier. And, you know, throughout this entire episode, Xavier's like, you know, on this kick about trusting people.
Right.
This man comes out, he's the least threatening looking man I've ever seen in my entire life. And he's calling him by name. And Xavier's first reaction is to wave a gun around and point, and after spending the entire episode talking about trusting people. You know, like at this point he has a baby attached to him.
Right.
So the stakes have changed.
Sure.
But still, it's really a funny visual all the way around. Like, he's shouting at a man while holding a baby, while, you know, having spent the entire episode talking about trusting people. And so I want to point out that the man talks about Terry in the current tense.
Okay.
He says, she is my friend. She has been my friend for the past 3 years. She has been taken from me. You thought perhaps that this signifies that she is dead.
Well, it's left ambiguous. She's been taken from me. What does that mean?
I'm assuming kidnapped at this
I mean, yes. I want to assume we didn't kill two main characters,
right,
like, all of a sudden. But, it could mean she's dead.
It could be. But, again, I'm going to point out, he talks about Terry in the present tense.
Okay.
As in, she is still alive.
Okay.
Because usually when someone dies, you say, she was my friend.
Right.
So, you know, so I think she's still alive. Xavier, still pointing the gun at this man, shushes the baby to comfort the baby, and that's where the episode ends.
This man is played, we don't know his name yet, he's played by Cameron Britton. He was in 12 episodes of The Umbrella Academy, A Man Called Otto, and 7 episodes of The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
Okay. Let's talk timeline again for a second.
Yes, let's talk timelines, because there's a lot going on in this show.
So, 3.5 years. The whole Cal thing being dead happened within the last couple of weeks, right? Assuming?
Within the last couple of weeks from when Xavier left. Now
bunker.
another month has passed since then.
Right.
Or at least a few weeks.
Okay, so he leaves the bunker. You can't imagine that he had been traveling for more than a couple hours before crashing.
Right. That was the same day he left, because we're in a plane. That's not taking multiple days.
At the time that he left the bunker, Annie was already 8.
Very pregnant.
Yes, very, very pregnant.
Yeah.
Link.
Yes.
He's traveling with his merry band in cars.
Right.
A journey like that shouldn't take
8 months.
Right. A week, maybe?
I mean, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what he faced on the way. What kind of stops they made?
Right. Yes.
What other people he's encountered? You know, how many other babies did he father along the way?
Right. I'm assuming that would not take, regardless of whatever obstacles you throw in someone's path, 8 to 9 months.
Right.
So he has to have already been at the bunker.
In theory. Could be. That's the thing. I feel like we need a whole episode of like, okay, Link's journey from Graceland to Colorado.
Right.
Because what have you been doing all this time, right?
Right.
And yeah, that's the thing, is we don't know when Knock Knock is happening.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, was Xavier still in the bunker?
Right. Is this happening in the past still?
Right. And if so, how did he not know about this army? And in fact, actually, that's another question. What kind of army does the bunker have to combat people coming to attack them? I mean, they have the Secret Service, sure, but is there other military combatants?
Secret Service, I don't think even know anything about what's going on upstairs.
Right.
The Secret Service is really, like, very low on the totem pole, I think. Sinatra has, like, her own, like, people.
Yes, but I guess we've seen some people guarding Sinatra in the first season, but we don't have any kind of hint of a military of any kind.
Right. I think that's it. I mean, in the most recent timeline that we've seen the bunker, we know that Baines had built up this whole police state. So he has a lot of police,
right?
Military type force. There are people, but I mean, that's the thing, is how many different layers of security are there? Like, there's the secret prison. Whoever's running that, I'm assuming, are the same, force that would be looking at, like, Outland security.
And you were thinking that perhaps that is where Link and his people
It's possible. So if it didn't take him 8 months to travel, and that's not the current timeline that he's saying knock knock, because he actually made his way across the country in a reasonable fashion without, like, ridiculous hiccups stopping him, and he made it there, like, let's say it took a month or two, not 8.
Right.
Then yeah, this happened before Cal died.
Right.
Before season 1 started. So Xavier doesn't know about it. I'm going to say that. It doesn't seem like he's ever actually met this man, because he's saying this never happened.
If that happened while he was still at the bunker, presumably before even Cal even died,
right?
How does he not know? Because
Cal probably wouldn't even know, because Cal's just a freaking figurehead.
So,
Sinatra's in power. The billionaires are running this place, not the government.
A force is coming to try to get into the bunker.
Right.
How do they keep that quiet from everyone? How do they deal with that situation and keep it quiet from everyone without anybody knowing?
Right.
Other than maybe like Sinatra.
Yeah.
Like because if Cal doesn't know, Xavier doesn't know. Like, how does that happen?
I don't know.
I mean,
it's Sinatra, so.
Right.
I'm pretty certain that Cal didn't know anything about anything Sinatra was doing to run this place.
Right.
He didn't know about the expedition and the fact that people were alive upstairs. He was kept in the dark. Sinatra knows. Kane probably knew everything before he lost his senses. And we've got the billionaires.
Right.
Who probably know a lot. I don't know. We've got the maid, Carmen. She seems to know things.
Yes.
So there's like this hierarchy of people that we're not really aware of, right?
Right.
So yes, it's possible. If this was in the past, I had the theory maybe he was brought in just to be put in the secret jail. Like, maybe that didn't just start. Maybe the secret jail has been there the whole time.
I mean, that has to factor into the plot somehow.
Maybe he is in there with
Geiger and whoever survived that encounter.
Yes, but I was going to say with, like, Jeremy and Dr. Luge, who are now down there.
Interesting. Well, not
Dr. Luge. What's his name? Anders. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe he's in there already. Maybe he's behind the revolution already. Who knows?
Maybe.
Like, that's the thing. The timeline. We don't know the timeline.
Right. I guess the episodes that are upcoming are going to answer those questions.
I would hope they're going to do something to make this all fit together.
Right. You can't. It couldn't have taken 8 to 9 months for Link to get to the bunker.
It could have, if he had a whole other story.
Okay, then we need that.
Right. No, he could have been laid up somewhere for months. But yeah, there's a missing link here.
I see what you did there.
I didn't mean to. Meanwhile, we know the day that he landed with the plane was a month prior to when Sinatra woke up in episode 3 and those events.
Okay.
So those events, Baines getting killed, all that, is probably on time right now with the baby being born, with Annie's baby being born.
Okay.
Because we know he spent 2 weeks healing, then they're traveling. So we probably have, and then we know Xavier spent time with that family before he continued on. Like he had said at some point over the last several days.
Right.
So I feel like those two timelines are catching up to each other. It's been a
Gotcha.
month in the bunker, and now he's probably been gone about a month by the time he gets to Atlanta with this baby.
So the only real question at this point is the timeline that Link is on.
Right.
And how that all took place.
Right.
Which I think at this point we need an entire episode to explain.
And the next episode is called The Mailman, so I'm pretty sure we're referring to Cameron Britton's character. We're going to learn who the heck he is, see what happened between him and Terry and what her story was, and is she kidnapped? What is that all about? Now we have to go on an adventure to find Terry after we already came here to find Terry.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a baby in tow now.
Yeah. I can't imagine that he could stage a rescue with a baby in fastened to him. That's not going to happen.
And if somebody kidnapped her, who kidnapped her? Is it the Torch dudes?
Right.
Like, there's only one of them left that we know of.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
And is that going to bring us back to those kids?
Right.
Because they were 400 miles away from here when we saw them, but...
Right. It's funny because, we made a big deal about the kids stealing all of Xavier's stuff, but he got to the spot that Terry was broadcasting.
Did the kids steal Terry?
Oh, okay.
Trying to bring her to him. Huh?
I mean, I guess, but, yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, what... I don't see where this is going, but it's got to go somewhere where they reunite, right? They have to, after all this.
Yeah, you would imagine.
And then we got to get back to Colorado, and I hope it's not going to take them 8 months to travel to Colorado.
I'm having trouble seeing where a Jane episode fits in at this point.
It fits in if she's the baby.
Fair enough.
We were told we're getting Jane's backstory. If she's that baby, that's a hell of a backstory.
Well, I'm sorry that she grew up to be a complete sociopath, but yeah, anyway.
But yeah, we're halfway through the season now. This was the mid-season episode. What?
Yeah.
On day 8, we got the mid-season. Okay.
Yeah, this has been
4
a
episodes left.
wild season so far.
4 episodes left this season. Next episode appears to be about this dude, the mailman. We know there's a Jane episode somewhere.
Yep.
And I'm imagining we're going to learn something about Alex in these 4 episodes.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover.
We got an awful lot to cover. And is he going to get back to the bunker this season?
I think you kind of have to. I think the season has to end at the bunker.
We're halfway through the season, and we've had one half of one episode taking place in the current timeline in the bunker.
Yeah, that's nuts. All right, do we have anything else to say? Like any other theories that you want to suggest, or?
Oh, yeah, one thing I just wanted to loop back to, it fits in with the whole timeline thing, is one thought I had about when Xavier was saying he saw visions and he thought it was something that didn't happen yet. I came up with 3 theories. 1, it's something from the future. He's having visions of the future, right? Which is kind of where we've been. 2 would be, I'm forgetting what 2 was. Well, the 3rd one, which is the one I really want to talk about.
Okay.
But I don't think it's possible anymore. But just looking at that would be, and it's the least sci-fi one of them, is, maybe he did meet Link in the bunker, and somehow his memory's been, wiped.
So he had this whole entire
So
adventure.
maybe that was a past. Number 2 was it's a totally separate timeline. It happened, but not to him, to a different version of him.
Yeah,
It was bleed through from a different timeline. That was number 2.
That actually fits in somewhat with a theory that I had, that this is not actually time travel, but the multiverse.
Multiverse,
like
right.
Something like a slider situation. Like perhaps the goal isn't to change time, but to move to an alternate timeline.
By altering something,
Yeah.
you're creating different realities or jumping between realities.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, which is still time travel-esque. It's just a different... It's not like a person traveling through time.
Right.
It's we're affecting the timeline to cause new branches or whatever.
Right.
So that was 2, but 3 was maybe no time travel. These literally are his memories because he did meet Link, because that was in the past, but they somehow wiped his memory so he doesn't remember it consciously. But that theory is kind of voided by Link seeing the same vision while he's outside the bunker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure how that fits in. Yeah.
So I think that that can't be it, which is good because I want it to be something sci-fi.
I did not imagine having these type of conversations going into this second
Right?
season. From where we were in the first season to this is just like crazy. But yeah, I'm digging it. I'm totally enjoying it. I do still have plenty of faith in Dan Vogelman to pull this all together. But man, there's a lot of pieces to put together.
Yes,
sure.
there definitely are.
Yeah.
And you know, by that person who was commenting, I feel a little less crazy. I feel a little less crazy that we're not alone in having these wild thoughts.
Hashtag you are not alone. And I hope to continue hearing from Mantra and anybody else that wants to jump in. We'd appreciate you having, being a part of this conversation. This is what we do here. So jump on in, leave your comments, and we'll shout you out and, discuss your theories.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, anything else to say before concluding?
That's all I have for now. I can't wait to see what we get to next, and I'm excited.
All right, we'd like to hear from you. What did you think of this podcast? What did you think of this episode? Do you have any crazy, nutty theories? Share them. Stacie can be reached at.
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join the Core Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Core Productions membership starting at 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions, signing off.